What is up, fellow bench warmers? Welcome to your daily fantasy quickie. Hey guys, what's up? It's what week is it? 11. Week 11 of the NBA season, fantasy season. And yeah, with me, JJT and Commish. Commish,
Yes.
how are you? How was week 11 for you so far?
Well, I'm down in some leagues, up in some leagues, but it's just one day, so we can't really know for sure. But there are, as I said, there are teams that I don't have much players. To be honest, I do not really know what to do anymore with those teams. Kinda just let it be.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy. I mean, sometimes you can't follow who is out, who is not. But one of the news today was the change in isolation. So maybe that would help us right now in making this.
So in case you haven't heard, the new COVID protocols for the NBA was already sent out to the teams. Instead of doing a 10-day protocol or 10-day getting into health and safety protocols for 10 days and staying there for 10 days, they lessened it to 6 days, as long as I guess this would coincide with whether you have enough negative tests, right?
From what I've heard, it's not about negative tests anymore. Like, if you don't have symptoms, in 6 days you can play, as long as you don't have symptoms at all. But you can also come back earlier than 6 days if you test negative twice.
Okay, so it's the same requirement. You have to test negative twice.
They just made it 6 days from 10 days. And I have a question for you. If they said this is based on science, do you agree? Do you think it's really based on science, or do you think it's just the NBA really changing the because
no,
they don't?
I don't think it's changed. I'm not sure if it's based on science, because we don't know much about those types of things, but I just think it makes a little more sense. In the sense that I'm pretty sure a lot of the players now have it. It's just that they don't have the symptoms.
It makes sense. Yes, I think so. It makes sense in a way that if you're asymptomatic, if you feel good, maybe resting for a while, like 5 to 6 days, they put it, because based on what they said, in 6 days time, there's nobody who's asymptomatic that would have a viral load that would be high to be contagious.
Yeah.
So that's the reason. So I think yes. I guess it makes sense. Just common.
I guess another thing though, because I've had friends and some family members. Actually, my cousin a few months ago had COVID, and it was the whole family who had it, and they had symptoms. And they said that they were fine after 3 to 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
They were already good, unlike the cases before, because they were vaccinated. So I think that helped in the faster recovery. And also, if these players are vaccinated, I would think 6 days, if they're not symptomatic, the chances of them being better, or I guess getting a negative results, is already higher. I mean, I just base it from that experience and that story by my cousin about them having COVID and then getting better in 3 to 5 days. So I guess that also helps.
And now, for fantasy purposes, I just hope that the reporting nowadays would be more, more detailed, maybe, because sometimes they say they enter COVID protocols or health and safety protocols, but you don't know if it's because of contact tracing, because you're positive, because of this, because of that. hopefully they'll be more open,
more
to
detailed,
say,
like
more detailed, because
entering
this would give
health and safety protocols but asymptomatic, something like that.
something like that, because it will make it really hard. Like I want to talk about Jason Tate, just as an example, who got into health and safety protocols. To be honest, if he's going to be out for 10 days to 14 days, he's not worth holding if you have a lot of players in IL.
Yeah.
Right? He's probably a little worse than Pat Bev, but maybe at the same level. And Pat Bev was dropped by most people.
Yeah.
So Tate for me is a drop. Tate for me is a drop. But if it's just 6 days, maybe I can. I mean, 6 days sometimes will just be two games, right?
Yep.
So that will be like, okay, maybe you can hold on to him. So that makes it now it makes it harder. Plus, I don't even know if who's vaccinated or who's not vaccinated.
Well, I think 95% are vaccinated, so I'm pretty sure most of them we can assume have been vaccinated.
So supposedly Bradley Beal was not vaccinated, right? That's the report. But he was already questionable, or they're thinking he can play during their next game already, and that he's not even in he's later than Fred VanVleet and the other guys, but he's possibly coming back earlier. So I don't know.
He said 2 negative tests, maybe.
I don't know, because for unvaccinated players, I'm sure I kind of heard that 2 negative tests is not enough. There's a minimum isolation period for them. That's what I know. So right now, really, we don't know if some news are verified as to who is vaccinated and who is not vaccinated, because sometimes there are rumors, but they might not be true. So it just makes our job so much harder right now. It's confusing.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, players like Jason Tate, those types of players, you would now think twice on whether you drop them or keep them, because they're if they're healthy, they're not really the type of player you would drop at this point so far, right? But at the same time, they're also not worth holding on to for, let's say, if they were out for 2 weeks, right? 10 days is pretty much 2 weeks, and they'll probably be the first one to go. And that's where the challenge is with, just an example. Alex Caruso is not in COVID protocol, but if you have so much injured players, you'll think twice now of, you'll think about dropping him already just to survive, right? I mean, I have Alex Caruso in a few leagues, and in one of our leagues, actually I have in 2 of our leagues, but in one of our leagues wherein I'm struggling to get to the playoff spot, and I have 6 players remaining, and we don't have IL, we don't have IL plus. So I'm pretty much doomed there. It's a dynasty league, so it's like me tanking already. I mean, so if I don't drop him, I'll probably be, I'm still thinking I should drop him, but yeah.
I think so. I think Alex Caruso at this point,
he's not even in COVID protocol. He hasn't even gotten there.
Yes, just has a sprained ankle, but it looks bad because they automatically put him out for 7 to 10 days, and then they will reevaluate. I do feel it will be longer than that. So if you need the roster spot, Caruso is possibly someone to drop also.
Yeah. And that's what will happen to players like Jason Tate, who will enter COVID protocol, and then you'll have to think about it in the next 6 days, especially if you're battling. And the timing, I guess, is also something. Like, today's just the first day, right? So you'll probably hold on to him if you're leading, right? If you're leading.
I hold him. I own him in the 12-team, 14-team, and 16-team league. So I own a lot of tape. I have held on to him in all the leagues so far. Day one, as Jeremy said, still day one. So we'll see as the week goes along if I can still hold on to him or not. But as of now, yes, I'm still holding him.
Yeah, but just, my point is, if he got into COVID protocol on the second to the last day of the league, and then he has a back-to-back there, or he has a game he has a game on the last day of fantasy, right, on Judgment Day, then and then the battles are close, right? You'll think twice now, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
where you think twice. Like, for me, do I want to win this week because it's close, or do I just want to, drop him, or keep him and wait for another week,
The
right?
answer to that question depends on where you are in the standings.
Yeah,
If you are a little higher or a little safer, you don't have to look at whether you're fourth, fifth, second, third, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you're second and the second and to the eighth spot is very close, it doesn't matter if you're second, right? It doesn't mean much. But if you're second and you're 8 or 9 games ahead of like the fourth, the third, or whatever, then yeah, you have some buffer. If you're sixth, but you're just 1 game behind the top 2 or top 3 teams, you're not really the sixth place team. You're basically in the top.
yeah,
It's 1 game at this point doesn't mean a lot. Like I'm fourth in one league and I'm just a game behind the number one seed. So so I could easily be the number one team, but I'm number four. That's what you have to look at, not your ranking, but how many games behind or how many games ahead you are. And then based on that, you can decide whether you go for it or
it's
look long term.
actually at this point, it's actually quite interesting because I've been going through some lineups. It's actually getting a lot harder. In you'll have to think twice about do we making your moves. Who do you add? Do I make my move now or do I wait? Right? I mean, there are some things. Do I drop this player now or do I just hold on to him because even if he doesn't have a game in the next 2 days, right? So those things come into play a lot when you add players, and that's probably where the strategies come in now. I mean, for those managers who are struggling to get their players healthy.
And actually, this new 6 day thing is actually going to make our lives way harder because now when you add someone who is a replacement player, the time frame of his value will shorten significantly,
Yeah,
and you would need a lot more moves because of this. Because you you need to add, to drop, add,
yeah,
and that would make it really tough for you to decide whether who to stream, who to add, or
yeah.
at this point.
Yes. Speaking of, and today or last night, two major players also got into COVID protocol aside from Jason Tate. Jason Tatum and DeAndre Ayton got into it. The good news is if they don't have symptoms 6 days, I think, it's not too bad. I mean, DeAndre Ayton has missed what, a week or two over this the course of the season, right? So
And Tatum, I hope, doesn't have symptoms this time.
yeah, because this
Consider,
is the second time. Last year he also had it, right? He had one
and
of the worst
I
ones.
don't know if you've had it and you have it again. Is that worse? Is that
No, if he's vaccinated now, I think last year was he vaccinated? I don't
yeah,
think.
he wasn't vaccinated probably last year, but the point is, if you have had it before and you have it again, get reinfected. Maybe I don't know if there's like added risk factor for you when that happens. I'm
Yeah,
not
who
sure, but
knows?
I hope not because
And he's not the first player to have it again. I mean, Carl Anthony Towns have it again.
did
Has it
he
again.
have it or his
I think
family
he
had it?
has. He had it before.
Oh, Michael Porter Jr. has had it 3 times.
Yeah.
He's in COVID protocols now, but of course no one cares because he's out anyway. But he has had it. He has
That's
had it.
adding insult to injury to Michael
Yes, three
Horner.
times. Al Horford has had it twice, I think. So
Yeah.
everybody, a lot of
Al
these.
Horford had it twice in the same season, like this
Yes,
season alone, right?
yes,
Uh,
yes.
so yeah.
So
Well, who to add for DeAndre Ayton would be an easier one because he's missed games already. And we all know who's gonna be replacing him. JaVale, of course, would be there.
yeah,
Uh,
worry list because he didn't play well today. I just put him there because I'm sure a lot of people were disappointed streaming him probably. But he was in foul trouble. Just I'll give him a pass. He's been usually good when Aiton is out. Jalen Smith, am I correct? The rookie big, the sophomore big of Phoenix played well today, but he is not that good really. So I don't trust that he can add. So it's just McGee for me, McGee and Phoenix. But Cameron Johnson, because Jay Crowder is also in protocols.
Yeah.
So Cam Johnson is gonna start. I don't know if there's still Cam Johnsons in your leagues, but
Interestingly, a lot of Cam Johnsons were dropped before the start of. I mean, yeah, I've seen some in waiver. I was. It's just so hard to find all of them, but yeah.
But
I might have missed on some.
I'm gonna check. Because if there are still Cam Johnsons in your leagues, I think you should be picking him up right now. There should not be any more Cam Johnsons. Let me see. Yeah, in my leagues, all of Cameron Johnson has been added. But
maybe. Yeah, I'll just check out the 12-team league. Yeah, but Cam Johnson is an ad there because of the Jay Crowder situation. And JaVale is probably just struggling. So yeah, give him another game. He'll probably be fine.
I'll put Cam Johnson and JaVale in the top 2 of my ad list today. Just because even if Aiton comes back, even if Crowder comes back, you don't have to drop these players because they have shown that they can provide value even off the bench. Unlike some of the other replacement players we're going to talk about. In the case of Jason Tatum, the guy that started for him is, I think, Romeo Langford, who is an intriguing player because today he had 4 steals and 3 blocks.
Yeah.
And he has had around, I think, 7 or 8 steals and 3 blocks the past 2 games. So the defensive stocks are there. Maybe you need that. Maybe it's a Matisse Thybulle kind of situation because this guy can shoot, this guy can score. It's the same deal. So maybe you want to add him. Grant Williams is another player who would get more minutes because he's maybe their small ball 4 or big 5. So Grant Williams is another player who will benefit. Remember, not only Tatum is out in Boston, Dennis Schroeder is out.
Yeah.
Mark suddenly didn't play
was out today, yeah.
And laceration thing. So Peyton Pritchard is another player who I'd recommend. But I've recommended Peyton a couple of times already. I think he should be also.
I'm actually happy because I added Peyton Pritchard in a league wherein I have a bunch of guys in COVID. I think I have 7 guys out injured. I added Peyton Pritchard last night, and I'm just happy he played well. And everyone on that second, I guess I could say second unit, played well because I had Desmond Bane playing, I had Derek White playing, I had Peyton Pritchard, Cam Johnson, and Nasser Little. All of them played really well.
That's the best case. Best case scenario.
Because like my top 4 or 5 picks, 5 or 6 picks, I guess, are out.
And if that happens, and then you have what Jeremy experienced today, you'll be very, very satisfied with yourself.
Right? I was just so happy when I checked because I was kind of expecting that this week's probably gonna be bad because my opponent doesn't have that much players out. But yeah.
And Nasser Little, speaking of Nasser Little, is another of my top ads because, well, the ads right now are just, being repeated again and again, but they're still not, more than 50% old. So I think we still have to recommend them. Nasser, as we said, with Covington and all those players out, was going to get a lot of minutes. The thing with Little, that's why he's more valuable than maybe Nance, is that he gets Robert Covington's role. He also gets Nurkic's role. Nurkic is one of the best rebounders in Portland. Mm-hmm. And Little is also one of the other player who has a very high rebounding rate. you remove Nurkic from the starting five, that opens up a lot of chances for Little to grab those rebounds. It so happened that he scored well today. He had 20 points also, which I don't think will be will be something you should expect. But there are times when he's hot, and Jeremy just sort of hit it.
But I got lucky, so hopefully this week I'm gonna get lucky with all the ads because I have the McDaniels brothers. I've added some, the McDaniels brothers. I added as well the Martin twins. I mean, although one of the Martin guy, who's the Charlotte Martin? Cody didn't play well today, but yeah, I took a chance on him because he was top 70, top 60 before, or top 80 at least. Even before he got hurt.
I like the moves. I like the moves. Cody Martin is probably a good ad at this point. You don't wait for him to get hot, especially with Miles Bridges and PJ Washington out. He's gonna get hot. He's gonna get hot.
He was okay. I mean, he was okay even with the full roster. He was, not as good, but okay. You probably, stream him he's a streamer when everyone's out, so that means he's not so bad as well. When everyone's playing, I guess it's not so bad as well. Who else? So we talked Mason Plumlee, talking about Charlotte. We just talked about Mason Plumlee yesterday, I think. Aside from Jaden, is it Jaden who's in the Charlotte? Jaden
Jaden is
McDaniel. Plumlee.
I was about to stream him, but I own Plumlee in some leagues. The free throws, I was scared because it's day one. I just didn't want to start my week, right? Because in that league, free throws is really one of my strengths. So I just didn't want to mess with it. But great game from Plumlee. And I think, were they against Houston? They were against Houston. Mm-hmm. And this is why looking at schedules is important. We did mention Chicago, we mentioned Charlotte. We mentioned these teams with good matchups. And matchups matter. And if you were streaming, you look at Plumlee, hey, Charlotte, they said he has a good fantasy matchup. You'll be more confident in adding him. And I think this week would be a big week for Mason Plumlee.
Of course the McDaniels brothers played well. The Minnesota McDaniels was, I guess, so. It was Jalen Noel who stole a little bit of the show.
Yeah, I forgot to put Jalen Noel in my.
I'm also happy because in an 18-team league, I didn't drop him. It's just because I couldn't find anyone to add as well, so I just held on to him. I added him when Karl Anthony Towns went out. So
sadly, Anthony Edwards, I think, would be the first one to come out of protocols for Minnesota, and I think he's out too. So maybe Noel's value might not continue. But he's, as I mentioned in one of my posts, he's one of those replacement players who can really play. He can play, he can shoot, he can score. He's not just a G League guy who somebody they just signed for whatever. He can really score. Is very athletic.
Yeah. Who else I missed? Nick Claxton is the last of our bye players.
I'll add for Nick Claxton, Nathan Knight. We talked about him the other day, right? We said nobody's left. Nathan Knight is the only guy there. But I certainly, honestly, did not expect the 20 points and I think 12 rebounds or 11 rebounds that he did today. I never thought I'd see that. And I was actually thinking last night that maybe I should stream Greg Monroe. And I read Jeremy posting in one of our groups that he's back in the NBA, and I kind of looked at where he went, and he went to Minnesota. I said, hey, that's a good spot for him with all those players out, and he played well today also. Yeah. So recommending these two, as I said, for as long as Cat was out, is out.
I guess the reason why it's hard to recommend the two is because there are two of them. So at any given time, probably they'll timeshare, or only one of them gets more minutes.
A very funny story was I read in Twitter. Greg Monroe was gassed today. He was really tired, and then in the fourth quarter, Nathan Knight went to the scorer's table. So he was gonna go already. I thought he was gonna be subbed, and then apparently the coach said, "No, we're not gonna get subbed. We're subbing someone else." And he was like, "Okay, okay." So I think they'll play. They can play both of them together. Nathan Knight actually can play power forward. I'm confident that both of them will be okay as long as Vando and Cat and Reed are out. I don't know how long Vanderbilt will still be out because I think
he's the first one. Ooh.
He's just behind Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
That is why I said it's really tough to recommend right now. But if those players,
those players could be back on Thursday. I mean, on the couple of days from now.
I think they have a game tomorrow. Minnesota has a game tomorrow. That's why stream.
They won't be back there most likely.
They won't probably be back tomorrow. But the next game after that,
they might be back already. So they're pretty much at the tail end of that 10-day 10-day quarantine period, right?
Nick Claxton, for me, another safer ad. Even if LM comes back, I think he has 20-25 minutes of playing time already with the team, with or without LMA.
Yeah.
So Claxton should be added.
Actually, if I look at all the free agent pool, none of these players are available already. Maybe Grant Williams is still available there. I think that's the only guy. Nasser might be available in a few leagues.
Yes, I was able to add Nasser in some leagues. I was able to add Nathan Knight. Of course, Monroe, I think, will still be available. Mostly...
If you were to choose between the two, who would you rather pick? Monroe or Nathan Knight?
I'll go Nathan. As I said, Monroe looks like he's not really in good shape. I think he was just sleeping somewhere and then they called him and told him to come. But he's old already, so I don't think Monroe can play a lot really of minutes. But he's good. Monroe is also good.
Monroe is good offensively.
Yes,
he's like the other half of Andre Drummond.
Yes, actually, Monroe is basically Naz Reid.
Yeah, true.
I mean, centers they don't play good defense, but they're very good, very skilled, very skilled
offensively. All right, those are the buy players. Let's talk about some worry players. Some of these guys, Luke Kennard for one, we kind of expected him to play the role of Paul George, but that hasn't really gone well so far. 2 games already in.
Well, you have Kennard? Are you going to drop him or?
No, I have Kennard in one league. I dropped him already even before the Paul George injury in one league. Makes me feel better dropping him because I dropped him immediately right before the news came out. So that was really I think I felt really bad about dropping him. But I have him in one league. I'm holding on. I mean, this is 3 weeks, at least 3 to 4 weeks. Paul George will be out. I mean, the Clippers are not yet back. I mean, there's really no one there offensively for them. If you look at it, who's their offensive players? I mean,
Marcus Morris came back today, had a great game, 24, 5, and 6 today.
And he's the only guy there, and everyone can really focus in on Luke Kennard and Marcus Morris in defense because Terrence Mann is not as aggressive offensively. Bledsoe is really not known for his offense, consistent offense, right? He's more of a do a little of everything kind of guy. And
I'll keep Kennard until Reggie Jackson comes back, and I'll see what happens when Reggie comes back.
Actually, my thinking is if Reggie comes back, Kennard might be a better player. That frees up a lot for Kennard because Reggie Jackson is known for his offense.
Well, possibly yes, but I think Kennard might come off the bench. So That's not a bad thing, but depends on how many minutes he gets off the bench.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see what happens with the rotation. But until that happens, I'm confident in holding.
And plus, I'm not gonna drop Kennard for Peyton Pritchard, right? Are you dropping Kennard for Peyton Pritchard?
Maybe not. Maybe
Right? I mean, if you have those types of players, you probably won't drop Kennard, right? I mean,
but if Kennard is my streamer, I'll drop him for the players you mentioned.
right.
In a streaming spot, you'd rather have.
I think the challenge as well with if I'm not mistaken, do they have I think they have a couple of days off, right?
Yes.
The Clippers have a couple of days off, and that's going to be the challenge here, especially if you're, if you feel that you need the warm bodies, and you don't have other players to stream or to drop. Yeah, that's the challenge. Some of these players have that type of schedule wherein they have a couple of days off after today, and some of them after tomorrow. Their next game would be next year already, so that's going to be tough to really. Right? There are teams like that.
Yes,
they don't have much games already for the rest of the year, so yeah, that's going to be the more challenging part, right? In adding players, Mikal Bridges. Yeah. We've talked about Mikal a lot of times in our worry, and like I said, it's hard to own this guy. I don't get why everyone loves him. Well, I get why everyone loves him because he doesn't hurt you as much, and the upside is there. But yeah,
I put him here not because he's not good. It's just that I expected so much more from him.
Everyone does.
The breakout.
Everyone does.
No, I from the finals experience. Supposedly the breakout year. Just have to put him here today. 10 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. With so many players out, with Ayton out, disappointing. He deserves to be in the worry players in the losers list because of that. When you lose Ayton, who is probably one of your best scorers also, you have to step up. I mean, you take 5 attempts. I mean, you made all of them. Just good for you, but
I mean, Crowder, they lost Crowder as well. So
yeah, I mean 5 attempts, you made all 5. But I don't know what his usage rate, but it's probably in the 15-16% range. And that
maybe Chris Paul didn't pass him the ball, or Devin Booker.
Chris Paul had 30 assists, but yeah, probably.
I mean, all of the assists to Mikal Bridges was made. So you can't blame Mikal Bridges for not scoring as much.
I don't know if that's not being aggressive enough or whatever.
Or maybe Devin Booker was too aggressive.
But Booker didn't take that many shots also.
But he scored 30.
Yeah. Devin is in my
field.
Yeah, and I was just saying that I have a feeling that he's about to go into one of those runs. I feel like he's starting to really heat up. And yeah, whatever Booker is doing, it's probably eating into what Mikal Bridges can do. But
I think the more disappointing thing for Mikal is that the steals, the blocks, I mean, the other things, the rebounding, I mean, people love him because he has the potential to do a lot more things than just score.
The steals actually, surprisingly, it seems like it's low, but it's actually just 1.5 this year and 1.3 last year. So actually it's better. But if you're thinking, hey, Mikal is a great steals guy, he's averaging 2 point something. He's never done that. So maybe
maybe it's worrying that today, given that there are a lot of players out, he didn't give much of the other stuff.
But blocks, I agree with you in blocks. His blocks have disappeared. Before he could at least have 0.9 to almost 1 block a game. This year there's basically just 0.4, 0.3, 0.5. So that is also disappointing for Mikal.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk about Sengun anymore because we've talked about him a lot of times.
Drop him.
Now I'm really close to trading him now. As I was, going through the notes of the quickie, I think I should really trade Sengun, especially without Paul George, with Paul George out, and having lots of players out on injuries. Um, might be a good time to get some warm bodies who can produce now. So
Yes.
we'll see. Feel good players. Let's talk about, well, one player that we should really feel good about is Desmond Bane.
He has played. He's top 50. He's top 50 this
I
year.
think he's ranking top 30 even.
No, he's 40 something. I just searched a while ago. I think it's 40 something. He has some bad games here and there. There are some games like he'll play 3 to 4 good games, and then he'll have one bad game, and then he'll play 2 to 3 games, and he'll have one more bad game. But overall, I mean, he's really good. He's really been very, very good. He reminds me of Norman Powell when he was
In
when he was
Toronto.
yeah, something like that. But actually, he's better than Powell. He's better than Powell. He can score in so many ways. People
Yep.
think, but he's a very, very accurate 3-point shooter. He's an accurate 3-point shooter,
Yeah,
and that
the percentages are really good as well. I mean,
yeah, and this is what Buddy Hield people may think that we're hitting on Buddy Hield for being a one-dimensional, and this is what exactly we hope Buddy Hield can be. I mean, Bane is just good producing in so many other ways. He drives, he steals, he even passes the ball very well compared to other one-dimensional scorers like Buddy Hield or Duncan Robinson. So yeah, Bane. Hopefully, as I said, hopefully COVID spares him because he's
well,
playing.
just look at the stats though. I mean, the stats are really good. I mean, 47% from the field, 93% from the free throw, although he doesn't attempt as much. He just attempts 1 to 2 free throws a game. He makes 3 threes almost, 2.9 threes a game, 17.2 points, 4.3 rebounds, 2.2 assists. I mean, there's no zeros there. Even the steals, 1 steal per game is good already for a player like him. It's just the blocks is not there, but yeah, who cares, right? I mean, 1.4 turnovers, not that much as well. So,
And you know what I love about this guy? Point guard, shooting guard, small forward. I don't know what Yahoo is thinking, why they gave him this 3, but that's big. That's very, very big. Versatility, flexibility. So that's an underrated part of him also.
yeah, he'll probably, he's, I guess, front runner and running away with probably I'm not sure if he was drafted in your leagues. He could be a candidate for pickup of the year or maybe, breakout player of the year.
Yeah. Yes.
I know many were quite high on Miles Bridges, but yeah, Desmond Bane would probably be that guy. If he keeps this up.
Bane, Bridges, well, before Cole Anthony had this ankle thing, he was one of the breakouts. Also, Mo Bamba also before all the
Cole Anthony could win the pickup of the year, right? He's
but Bane was also picked up. Actually, this breakout.
True. Actually, Cole and Bane weren't were most likely picked up. Yeah. So those Desmond Bane, really good. So hope you have him in a lot of leagues. Of course, shout out to Eric Ong. He was so high on him. During our invitational draft when we talked after the draft, of course.
And you can see who Eric Ong is high on. Desmond Bane, he's very high on Norman Powell.
Yeah.
Ever since he's been very high on Powell. And even one of our friends, Max Bisaya, is also high on Norman Powell. And there's this people who are not experts look at shooters as just, all of them are same. They're all shooters. Right? This is a shooter, that's a shooter. What's the difference? But experts like them, they can see the difference. Like, this guy is not just a shooter, he's actually a good shooter. He can actually shoot. He just doesn't take 15 attempts. Even in 8 attempts, he has a very good percentage, and he can help in some other categories. So you have to, be able to see the fine differences between these players. Really.
Yeah. And we talked about Devin Booker. Hopefully, I'm keeping my fingers crossed he gets into that good stretch. yeah, I should try to get a deal for Devin Booker. Maybe Shea. Hopefully, I get Shea out of my lineup in a 16. Vucevic also played well, so hopefully he has been playing well over the past few games. So hopefully this is something that he can sustain for the rest
Yeah.
of the season. So that's the only hope. All right, yeah, that's the quickie for today. We're nearing the end of not just the week but the year 2021, and it's been really a good year for fantasy. I mean, we've pretty much had 2 great seasons of fantasy in 1 year, right? I mean, the first half of the year was last season's fantasy. It was the playoffs, and then now it's it's the midway point of the current season. So yeah, we'll see you again tomorrow for another daily fantasy. Bye, guys.